So there's actually a good percentage of Xbox fans who are kind of furious right now. They're pretty upset about this. They don't understand, and I have to agree. I don't really necessarily understand this either. One of the things that honestly kind of surprises me here is that Microsoft would go out and talk up themselves and talk up Xbox and stuff like this as being like doing so great and kind of leading the way and things like that. And then at the same point in time, we just noticed that this stuff is happening, and people are rightly so kind of confused. They're kind of upset. They don't understand what Microsoft's deal is, and I have to admit it is sort of a big question mark right now. So yeah, I hope that we get some answers soon. I want to get into this though because I'm curious of what everyone else thinks as well. Should be an interesting video. What's up, everybody? I'm Crap Gamer Reviews with another video. Thank you so much for checking it out. Thank you guys so much. I certainly do appreciate it. You guys rock. I do daily gaming content, so if you're looking for something that is fun yet informative on a daily basis, you found it. That's me. So anyway, I had already previously did a video which was basically telling about there were a lot of rumors that Microsoft was going to do another round of layoffs and Xbox was going to be affected by this. We didn't know how many would be affected by this because now this has come out. It looks like there could be up to 2,000 employees, and including studio closures. Wow. Credible reports from Bloomberg and The Verge earlier suggested another imminent big round of Xbox layoffs. These layoffs are supposed to be part of a wider Microsoft restructuring, and according to The Verge, some Xbox operations will cease to exist in select regions. Today, George Broussard, co-founder of Apogee Software, now 3D Realms, and one of the creators of Duke Nukem, shared that whispers from within the industry that the layoffs could remove as many as 2,000 employees, which would be around 10% of the workforce if we consider Activision and Bethesda as part of the Xbox team, which is very likely in this case. The companies will most likely be affected anyway, as they were in previous rounds of layoffs. Even more worrying is the rumor that studio closures could happen too. The first big round of cuts happened in January 2023 when Microsoft slashed around 10,000 jobs, although that was across all of its divisions and not just in gaming. The cuts involved Bethesda, the Coalition, 343 Industries, among others. 1 year later, just a few months after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Microsoft removed another 1,900 employees between Xbox and the Activision Blizzard teams, amounting to around 8% of its gaming workforce. That also caused the cancellation of Project Odyssey, a survival game in development at Activision Blizzard based on a new fantasy IP. Now, in May 2024, Xbox shut down Arcane Austin, the developer behind Prey and Redfall, and they shut down Tango Gameworks, who did The Evil Within, Ghostwire Tokyo, and Hi-Fi Rush. Alpha Dog Games, The Mighty Doom, which is the game they did, and Roundhouse Studios. Thankfully, Tango Studios was revived a few months later by Krafton and brought with it the Hi-Fi Rush franchise. With Microsoft's financial quarter set to end on June 30th, the announcement isn't far off and may come at the end of this week, so stay tuned for more details. And again, these aren't happy details, but the fact of the matter is, you have Microsoft claiming that things have never been better for Xbox and they're so profitable and this and that and the other thing, and how great Activision was of a get for them. And now you have a situation where they could be laying off thousands of people in the gaming division. And while yes, it's true, we've seen lots of layoffs in gaming over the last few years, there hasn't nearly been as many from Sony and Nintendo. In fact, I don't think Nintendo has laid off much of anybody. We know Sony has had some struggles, but not into the amount that Microsoft is dealing with here, considering Microsoft is allegedly like doing better than they've ever done before. So yeah, we do have sort of a weird situation here going on, and hopefully we can see a future where this isn't the case, because again, you would think, since Microsoft is allegedly making all this money putting all their games on PlayStation and everywhere else, that things would be doing great, but it just does not seem to be the case right now. And like I said, that is extremely unfortunate because you get stuff like this. So I feel extremely bad for the workers that are getting laid off. I feel extremely bad for the fans And I feel bad for the industry. Like I said, who would have known that the industry would be suffering this badly when Microsoft was firing people, laying people off, and just the way that they're kind of acting. I just realistically hope that things can do better. You need competition in gaming, folks. Like I know that that's like a cliche thing or whatever whatever the case may be, but you have to go out there and you have to have um, something positive. You have to fight, right? It's like right now people don't even understand this, but trust me when I tell you, the way that we're kind of looking at this thing right now, Microsoft is no competition to anybody. They are killing their own hardware, which affects all of us if you're a console gamer, because no competition in the higher echelon hardware specifications, and you also have no exclusives from Xbox, which means that further dilutes their brand. And for what? Because if we look at things that are kind of selling on PlayStation, they've had two minor successes. Supposedly, Sea of Thieves did 1.4 million on PlayStation, and Forza Horizon 5 did almost 2 million. But if you add up everything that they've released on PlayStation, it's like 4 million. So we know Pentiment flopped, we know Hi-Fi Rush flopped, we know Grounded flopped, we know Age of Empires flopped, that other RTS flopped, Doom flopped, Indiana Jones flopped. So almost everything has flopped that they put out on PlayStation. So they did all that. Supposedly, like, everybody's bragging about how all these games are in the top pre-order spots. People don't really understand how these pre-order spots really kind of work. So depending on when you release something in the pre-orders, if there's nothing new and there's not and I'm talking big, if there's nothing big coming out, which tends to be the case a lot, when these Xbox games end up in the pre-order sections, you could talk about something like 10,000 pre-orders could get you in the top spot on pre-orders, right? On a week or month when there's not really much releasing. So that's not really indicative of anything. A good example of this is Final Fantasy 16 released on Xbox, and it is, like, when I checked last, 405th place for the most played Xbox games, but it still showed up on the top selling Xbox games. But the games around it were all like old games, like Batman Arkham Knight and things like that. And Batman Arkham Knight didn't suddenly start selling millions of copies. It went on sale and some people were buying it, but Final Fantasy 16 could have sold 5,000 copies and been in that list. That's what I'm saying. That being on a top paid sales list doesn't necessarily mean that it's selling well. It just means that it's sold enough to make the list. And the fact that it was 405 on the most played list kind of tells you everything you need to know, unfortunately. But for Microsoft closing studios, I mean, we were all kind of worried about Ninja Theory because Hellblade 2 completely tanked, and I don't think Hellblade 2 going to PlayStation is going to help at all. And so we are kind of stuck with this sort of situation or whatever, and it's really unfortunate. People are also, it could be a situation where the team behind South of Midnight could be like, that game did horribly, who knows? But it's like, again, we're starting to see, while the consolidation of buying all these studios does not turn out to be a good thing. So, we'll see how this all works out. But, again, it's funny to see people kind of defend so many different things and pretend like, everything's great or whatever. So, we'll see. Again, I don't personally find this to be good news, and I think that Microsoft can do better, and hopefully we can see them do better very, very shortly, because people don't want to see this kind of news coming from a company that's claiming everything's great while their CEOs and stuff are getting millions of dollars in bonuses and things like that. So yeah, that's super unfortunate. I would love to see stuff come about and things like that. And again, thank you guys so much for rocking out with me. Please leave a like, share it out, subscribe if you haven't already done so. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. I'll catch you guys here next time. Let me know what you think. Like I said, the description is where you'll find this. Have a good day. Crap Gamer out.